Hey, what's up guys, it is Card Shuffler 99 here, and today we're going to be revealing Elizabeth's performance, or the Hauntings performance, on Britain's Got Talent in the semi-final round. If you guys haven't seen the performance, we will link it down below in the description. Make sure you guys watch the performance and then come right back here to learn exactly how it's done. We're going to be breaking it down for you guys today. Don't forget to enter into the giveaway. Just like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something in the comment section below. Make sure you guys have your post notifications turned on. What are we giving away? $100 of Amazon gift cards. That's going to be $10 Amazon gift cards. And then we're also going to be giving away 5 Theory 11 decks of cards, Monarchs, Nox, anything like that. If you want any Theory 11 deck, we're going to be giving away 5 as well. Once again, don't forget to enter. We will have all the instructions down in the description just in case you guys need to check that out for yourself. But anyway, guys, let's get into it. So let's briefly go over exactly what she did. So she's going to start out and she's going to try to prove some sort of connection between the judge and the sort of spirit ghost presence that she sort of brings into the show, right? Named Agatha. So they're going to work with this idea, and what she's going to do is she's going to basically have her close her eyes. I believe the judge's name is Amanda. She's going to close her eyes. She's then going to touch Simon on the nose, and then Amanda, would actually feel the touch exactly. And nobody saw Elizabeth touch Amanda in any way. So that was the first part of the trick. From there, they do the traditional go backstage with Elizabeth. They do this sort of scary thing. She has a little notebook that has a bunch of different songs in it. Amanda's able to supposedly pick any song she wanted. And then from there, they would go into the little room. A bunch of scary stuff happened in that room. And then that was pretty much the end of the trick. And then she sort of did that changing, person trick, I guess you could say, similar to what she did in her audition. So I guess the question that we're going to be answering here today is, how is that done? So the first thing that you need to know is that the first part of the trick is a very common trick, and this is actually something that they performed. I believe another act on BGT actually performed the same idea, actually. And what it is it's going to use these magic props known as loops. So if you don't know what loops are essentially a really thin, almost invisible thread-like string that people use in magic all the time. So if you know the haunted deck trick that the Sacred Rihanna performed, this is a trick that basically also uses a loop, and basically what you can do is you can put a deck down and basically sort of just move your hands ever so slightly, and you actually have a thread that goes into the deck, and as you move your hand, what happens is the deck will split like near perfectly. You'll get like a near perfect split right at their card. So that's like one trick that you can do with loops. And another one here is this sort of invisible touch trick that is very, very common. David Blaine actually uses this trick all the time. And what you have to do is essentially take the loop. It's basically an invisible string. So picture like dental floss, just a lot thinner. So basically you can't see it. And what you do is you tie it around your fingers. So basically you're going to have it tied around, say, your middle fingers. And what happens is you basically just have a thread that's running right in between your hands. And you'll notice here, what she does is she's going to go up to Amanda and she's going to go like this. She makes this motion, and that's because she has a thread in between her hands. It's running through her hands. All she does is as she goes like this, she says, "Are your eyes closed?" She's actually just rubbing the thread along Amanda's nose. That is when she feels the touch. She doesn't feel it after that. She feels it at that exact moment. And once again, David Blaine does this sort of invisible touch trick. All you do is you run your hands just like this, so that thread that's running through your hands is going to make contact with her nose. From there, she touches Simon's nose, and then she says, "Amanda, did you feel anything?" She's going to say yes, and that's because she felt the thread, right, on her nose. So that is exactly why she has to close her eyes, because if her eyes were open, then she would know when the touch happened. She would know that the touch occurred before she touched Simon, right? So that's the first part of the trick. Once again, all you need to do is purchase loops. This is actually a really great trick, but because the loop is so thin and so fragile, they actually break quite easily. You can actually buy this on Amazon. If you guys would like us to give something like that away, we definitely could. It's a pretty cool magic prop. Once again, Magic Loops, Loops. So if you guys want to look that up, you can get it on magic shops. You can buy it online. You can buy it on Amazon, anything like that. But that's the first part. Now, the second part of the trick is basically going to be the book. And how is this book part of the trick going to be done? Well, it's very similar to what we revealed in a video a couple days ago with 4MG, where they actually did a very similar idea. And what it's going to use is this idea known as the Svengali Principle. So if you guys want to know, so you can buy a deck. This is a Svengali deck. It's pronounced it's spelled Svengali. So all this is going to do is it's basically a deck, and you'll see here that every other card is an 8 of clubs. Now, it doesn't have to be an 8 of clubs. Obviously, it could be any card. But in this specific deck, every single other card is an 8 of clubs. Now, that's very important to know because every single 8 of clubs is cut slightly shorter than every other card. So you can see here, in reference, the 8 of clubs versus the 2 of diamonds, you can see I have it completely lined up at the bottom here. You can see that the 2 is actually slightly taller than every single 8 of clubs. So what does this allow you to do? Well, if you run your hand down this way, every card is the 8 of clubs. So you'll notice when Amanda says, hey, what I want you to do is I specifically want you, she puts the notepad down, she says lift up. No matter where you lift up, you're going to land on one of the shorter cards. So let's say you lift up here, you get an 8. Let's say you lift up here, you get an 8. So no matter where you pick up, because you'll notice here, if I just run the cards down, you're always going to see an 8 of clubs. And that's because the 8 is cut slightly shorter than every other card. Now, of course, you can show, obviously you would see Elizabeth did show that every song was different. That's because if you run your hand down the opposite direction, you're actually only making contact with the taller cards, and that's going to allow you to show that every card in the deck is different. And so from there, you can go ahead and just force any one. So what is she doing? She's essentially forcing the song Rockabye Baby, right? Because, and if you think about it, you don't even have to force it, but necessarily, but you, obviously in this trick, that is what she did. They used the Svengali Principle. And then she's going to go into the room. From there, there's going to be this sort of like scary little act that Elizabeth does all the time. You'll notice that the mirror is going to break. Let's be completely honest here. She could have done anything here. She could have purchased, you know, a self-cracking mirror, if that even exists. She could have just had, because obviously the Agatha lady was just right behind the mirror. She could have just taken a hammer and just smashed it if she wanted to. Anything could have happened there. The box, obviously, that's just going to be a prop that's sort of just like shaking up and down. Contained a paper that had a little letter in it. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, what happened when Elizabeth put the cloak up and then the girl basically disappeared, right? Well, you'll notice the whole room is incredibly dark, right? Like it's so dark. So once you put that cloak up, basically she could just run around like behind the mirror, go all the way around and just come back behind the judge Amanda and then scare her like that. But they cut the lights so many times, the lights are flickering that room. It's very easy for people to just come in and out. And obviously Amanda's extremely scared at that point. And so she's not really thinking, she's not really paying attention to everything. And a lot of Elizabeth's tricks actually do revolve around misdirection. She uses a lot of misdirection by basically controlling where Amanda looks. She says, read this out loud, right? And that's going to take all of Amanda's eyes just basically off of everything that's going around her and right onto the paper so that everything sort of can go into place, right? So she uses a lot of that misdirection, making sure that Amanda basically doesn't see what she shouldn't see, if that makes sense. So once again, let's just recap a little bit. We go back to the beginning of the trick. And also, if you wanted to know that part where she basically just switches places, they're just walking back. Again, extremely dark. She's just going to switch places. You'll notice that she's right behind Amanda the entire time. All she has to do is switch places with the one actress. And then from there, Elizabeth is basically back controlling where she goes, right? That is basically the entire trick. So once again, let's just recap everything that happened. So from the beginning, the first part of the trick where she's going to run her hands up and down, that is going to be the magic loops. Again, just a really thin, invisible thread that just runs. She basically has it tied around her 2 fingers. So basically it's hold right in between her 2 hands. She's just going to run it down just like so. And that thread is just going to make contact with Amanda's nose. And that's going to give the impression that she actually felt something on her nose. She then touches Simon, but once again, the touch occurred before she actually touched Simon, and that's why Amanda had to close her eyes. And then from there, they go in. She's going to use the Svengali Principle with a notepad. In fact, you don't even need to buy this. If you just take a notepad and every other page is cut slightly shorter, it's going to work. That same idea is going to work. Just take every other page, cut one short, keep the one, cut another short, keep the one the normal length, cut one short. Just keep going like that through the entire thing. And on every short page, you're just going to write the same thing. So in that case, every shorter page, she had the Rockabye Baby song on it, right? And that's pretty much the entire trick. Once again, the rest of it pretty much just revolves around misdirection, having a dark room, people switching places. And that is pretty much the entire trick. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyway, this is Card Shuffler 99. Peace out, guys.